welcome back to the Gray Space. I'm Zeke. That is Dre.
Yepers.
And we are back with another fire podcast.
Yeah, man. We Will Smith in this thing, man. It's just the two of us. We can make it if we try. Just the two of us. You and I. Hey, y'all know what to do, man. Make sure you subscribe to become part of the tribe. Do us right. Hit that like and comment whether or not you're loving the content. We know y'all loving it. So do it anyway.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Leave a review. Spotify, Apple, all that good stuff, man. Just show a little bit of love. A little bit of love. You know what I mean?
We get a lot of love lately, man.
And
a little bit of hate. It's all good, though.
We love it.
You know what I mean?
We love it.
We do. We love it, man. I love it all.
First of all, I want to say, man, shout out to Johnny Spears. I'm going to move this to the side. Hopefully y'all can still kind of hear me. I'm going to go through the main one, man. Shout out to Johnny Spears. Shout out to Big Sip. Make sure y'all shoot over to the interview that we had with Johnny Spears. Mm-hmm. Shoot over to his Instagram page. Go to Big Sip. The link's right there. It's right in his bio. Go get you some Big Sip. Drip.
Yeah, man.
This thing, I'm going to keep it a buck, man. This thing is unbelievably comfortable.
That's always a good thing, man.
It's mad comfortable, man.
Because how many times, man? Come on, man. Like, just as a T-shirt goes.
Man. This thing, like, I'm not saying that.
It could go wrong really quick.
This thing is extremely comfortable, and it's been hot. So it's like, it's lightweight.
Although today is a little different.
Today's nice, man.
By the way, we're recording this, man. The hurricane about to slam into Cali.
It's pulling up.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it's pulling up. Even though we're getting a little bit of residual from it, but yeah. I'll take this nice, cool weather.
100%.
Whew. Boy, 100%. Is it nice. I don't know when this is coming out. It might be 5 weeks from now. You're like, man, that's some old news.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
But man, yeah, dude.
Man, there's been a lot going on. I don't even know what we're going to talk about, to be honest with you. What do you want to talk about?
You know what? I don't know what I want to talk about.
There's been some movie stuff going on that's been crazy.
You know what? I want to talk about this. Let's just talk about this because we do this for some sort of living. We do this. This is a job to us, yep. But it's fun. We take it very seriously.
100%.
We love what we do. This is why we do it. It's why we have damn near a couple hundred episodes at this point.
For sure.
And also the What You Heards. If you guys aren't tapped into that, go tap into that.
Yeah.
If you guys like music and stuff like that, which we're working on more content and stuff like that. So,
sure. Stay tuned.
Yeah. Just a little bit of tease. I really want to talk about real quick, man, this ESTG and Bootleg Kev interview, bro. I have to, bro. I'm sorry. I got to bring it up.
She is a queen to be. All right, let's do it.
Yeah,
I guess we're doing it.
Yeah, we're doing it.
Hey, I had no idea that we was doing this. All right, so let's do it.
I didn't either, actually.
Right.
Honestly, I had no idea.
Let's talk about it.
It really did frustrate me.
Okay.
Because we watched, you and I, about an hour ago from shooting this particular podcast. We watched the 24-minute interview, Bootleg Kev interviewing ESTG. Mm-hmm. Do yourself a favor and go just watch it. Don't watch the clip. Watch the whole thing. Because...
Well, watch the clip.
Well, you can watch the clip, but I really...
But watch the interview as well.
Yeah.
Let's get into it. Let's talk about it. Fuck it.
Yeah. Let's talk about it. Shout out to Bootleg Kev.
Shout out to Bootleg Kev, man.
Now,
Arizona's on for sure.
we out here, we don't personally know Bootleg Kev.
We don't.
But
we know friends of his.
We do. We have some, people that know him that we've had on the show that have become friends and they know him.
For sure.
So that's not what this is about, though. This is about interviewing people. We've done it. We've been through some weird situations and stuff like that, right? Nothing as bad as somebody walking out like ESTG did.
100%.
So when you see the clip is basically Bootleg Kev asking ESTG about his NFL career and saying, hey,
His football career.
Right. And saying, hey, look, man, I saw you on an NFL Combine video. And he's like, what video? Well, YouTube video. And started getting really combative about it.
Well, the clip, to be fair, the clip does not show all of that interaction. I'm gonna let you cook because I know you need to cook, but I'm just adding ingredients. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm adding a little onion and pepper. Okay, so to be fair, the clip does not show all of that interaction. What it shows is him ask like, I'm just really interested in.
Yeah, really,
because it's a part of your story.
Yeah, I'm really interested in your football career because I love football.
I love football.
I want to know about your football thing that's going on.
Cook.
And he gets up and walks out of the interview. Just stands up, doesn't say anything.
Shortly thereafter.
Dude, it's right after.
He asked this question, the football question, and then he goes into... He quickly pivots into a different question. He's like, hey, man, there was a bidding war about you. You know,
you're right. My bad. That's my bad.
You're good.
Correct. You're right.
No, because I know you hype. I know you ready to cook. You in the kitchen. You in the kitchen. I'm the sous chef. You know what I'm saying? I'm the sous chef. You know what I mean? I'm here to help you. You know what I mean? Okay. I'm here to sprinkle in the ingredients, but you cooking. Okay. But yeah, he says, he asked that question. You know, basically it gets blown off. I don't feel like there's a pause in it there. But I guess it was. It was just
you made it that way.
Right. He gets blown off. And then he says, he asks another question. He talks about the bidding war for, you know, basically to sign ESTG. How did that feel? And then he says, you know, what is something that you've kind of learned from now being under this new label?
Right.
And he walks out.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't say anything.
Go cook.
So anyways, we had a discussion about it, and we were like, oh man, that, you know, I guess it could be, you know, we had a real long conversation about it, and we were like, we kind of had, okay, we understand Bootleg Kev's side. We understand if ESTG didn't like the particular questions that were being asked. And okay, so I want to say ESTG put a post and basically said, I was asked about porno or pornography, a particular person in pornography.
Yeah, porn star. Yep.
Aliens and the NFL, right? But that was like, it was like basically like this was. It was
more about the porn star and the aliens.
He was like, I just want to talk about my music.
Yep.
Right. Okay.
Right.
So we're like, okay, I understand if that's what was happening in the interview.
Yeah.
Right.
If
like,
it was
I
some
get
weirdo.
I get it, bro. Like,
we ain't talking. What you talking about?
Yeah. If an interviewer is like just kind of going off the rails, and you're just like, man, that is kind of weird. You know what I mean? And even by the clip, you're like, you can see it both ways in a sense, right? Because you're just like, well, man, if it's like this the whole way through, then I understand why he stood up and walked out of the room.
100%.
Because he's like, nah, this is bullshit. I don't want to do this.
100%.
Okay. So we had a discussion about it, and we were kind of on playing both sides in a sense. We were
on opposite sides of the spectrum at really, because I was really saying, you know, we both understood both sides.
Correct.
But I was more like,
you were a little bit more on the ESTG side.
I was like,
and
hey,
I was
man,
a little bit more on the Bootleg Kev side.
Right.
And then, but we both understood because we had a discussion about
100%.
And we both said to ourselves, we need to watch the whole thing.
And
then we watched the whole thing. It's 24 minutes, but realistically it's about 20 because he has 2 ad breaks in there.
Yes.
And they're about 3 to 4 minutes, not total wise.
Total.
So about 2 minutes per ad break.
Yep.
Right? Okay. So right off the bat, Bootleg Kev says, man, you've been putting out records.
You've been killing it.
you've got singles dropping.
Boom.
I've seen videos.
Bow.
And what you got? And he goes, yeah. And you're like, okay, that's weird. And then Bootleg Kev changes it and switches it just a little bit and goes, well, you got new music, right? Coming out, new album, new project? He goes, yep. And you're like, all right. And then it's when it gets a little funky. Because I'm going to tell you something. If you don't do this on a regular basis, you might not know this. When you ask somebody a question and they don't want to answer it, you start grasping at straws. You just do, because you're like, okay, we at least in here for a half hour to 45 minutes to an hour, whatever it is.
No matter what, when you go into any type of show, whether it's by yourself or with somebody else, you have a certain amount of time that is in your mind of, we're going to knock this out.
Right.
And normally for the traditional, and you guys know because you guys watch, you guys listen, for the traditional interview, it's normally anywhere from 30 to an hour. Mm-hmm. The average time is 45 to an hour. If you get anything over an hour, it's gold. Like this, we're talking about, right. Man, this was so fire. We had to go to this.
Right.
Cool.
So, ESTG's wearing jewelry around it. Big, it says ESTG, and there's something else covering it.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, I see you got some drip on, man. Like, you know, do you get a discount? Do you know? And he's just like, no, I pay full price for it. And you're like, it's everything he's asking at this, it just keeps falling flat.
Yeah.
Right? So he's... I'm serious, man. Shout out to Bootleg Kev he kept going, right? And you could visually see him grasping at straws,
right,
at this point. And he goes, "I see you're into Joe Rogan now." And this is where, okay, I'm sorry, I got to back up a little bit. So with the drip he had on, right? Mm-hmm. He didn't really answer the question. He kind of did. He was like, "I pay full price, whatever." And he goes, "This is where the porn guy comes in," right? He goes, and I can't remember the whole reference because I don't know the dude in porn.
So he brings up for anybody, there was a point in time where this guy, if you're old enough or we even in tune enough to understand it, there was a guy named Brian Pumper. He was a porn star, mm-hmm. right? And he really became famous because Lawrence Fishburne's daughter started doing porn.
That's right. He did.
Fact. This is not BS.
And he even mentioned that in the interview. Yep.
And throughout, like Brian Pumper started rapping. Like it was one of those social media, like weird. Somebody got famous, and then they started doing all this other random stuff. But he got famous. He really got famous, like virally famous.
Right.
No pun intended.
Right.
He basically did a porno with Lawrence Fishburne's daughter. Mm-hmm. And then he was like, he would wear these big old chains that were, nobody knew if they were real, they were fake, but it was part of his get up. Right. He was the Ice-T. Not the Ice-T. No disrespect to Ice-T. Golly, what's his name? Mr. T.
Mr. T. Yeah.
He was the Mr. T. I was like, where
you going with this? Yeah, I got you.
And no disrespect to Mr. T, but it was big chains. Everything was just over the top.
And look to ESTG's credit, it was a weird pull.
It was a random pull.
It was weird. It just
100%.
was weird. And to ESTG's credit here, he goes, can we move off of this?
Right.
And
why are we talking about
Bootleg Kev, is like, pause. Yeah, we'll get off of it.
You're right. He was like, yeah,
you're right. We'll move. Right?
Right.
And that's when it transitioned to the Joe Rogan. Hey, I heard you're into Joe Rogan now.
Right.
And then, obviously, if you know Joe Rogan at all, he likes talking about aliens. Joe Rogan's all over the place.
Right.
But that's just one of the many topics that Joe Rogan likes to talk about.
Right.
From time to time, quite often with his buddies and stuff like that, especially what's been going on. We had an episode about aliens.
We know what it is.
So anyways,
right.
He asked a question about aliens, and ESTG kind of answered. He was just like,
in a sense,
yeah, he did.
But what he said, he was like, do they like,
yeah,
do they contribute? Do they pay taxes? Like,
yeah.
Like, what do I care?
Right.
But in a nice way.
ESTG kind of answered and was just like, and then, he's like, did you see Independence Day or whatever? So the alien thing conversation.
It just didn't land.
It did not land. But I understand that he was trying to get him involved in a conversation. That's what it was about. Now, he not have done that? Maybe. Maybe he should have pivoted and done something else. Whatever.
Meanwhile, this is like 5 minutes.
5 minutes in. 5 minutes in.
So we're not talking about this is 15, 20 minutes because the whole thing is 20 minutes.
Right.
The actual interview. Mm-hmm. This is 5 minutes in.
Right. Okay. So he
Again,
was like,
I'm sous chefing here, man.
Yeah, no, this is good. This is good.
That's all
no, this is good, man. I like that you are, because I might be missing, because it really frustrates me.
Right.
It really does. So anyways, what happens is he actually goes into the music. He starts asking him about the project.
He says, man, you know what? All right, let's talk about the album.
Let's talk about the album. Who's on the album?
Who's on the album?
ESTG doesn't even know who's on the album, bro. He's not giving answers. This is the problem,
man,
right?
Gotti, we got this person. We got this person. Man, I know I'm missing some people, but yeah.
So look, I'm not gonna bore you with the rest, but I'm just gonna say this. Listen,
chop it.
He's legit talking about the album.
No.
Talking.
He don't even. No. I got to stop you there. He doesn't even go into the album yet. He starts talking about ESTG being from Louisville, Kentucky.
I was going to get there. I was going to say he's talked about the album, but he switched it to Kentucky,
right?
From being from Louisville.
And what he was talking about was that he was on papers.
Yes,
and he got off papers,
right?
And he's like, "How does it feel, man, to be off papers?" And they have a real decent conversation about him doing stuff for his community. At this point, whatever has happened is in the rear.
Right.
Pause. It's in the rear view mirror, right? Like, it was weird. It wasn't comfortable. But now there's a conversation going. And so you're building that rapport inside of the interview. Right. Hey, man, you've been killing it. You've been doing some great things. Do you feel like do you feel like you need to do this? Do you feel like you doing stuff for your city? Man, shout out to this person, right? Shout out to this man, you're killing it.
Well, so Bootleg Kev is basically lobbing it up, giving him compliments, it's like a comment that turns into a question, which we like to do as well sometimes, right? Right. It's just a nice way to actually really like what that person is doing. Right. Something you find interesting. Right. Right. And you go, hey, I see this from you, but what is it, and then you follow up with a question of like, hey, so Louisville, Kentucky, whatever. And they had it was okay. Right.
Right.
But it just kept falling flat. And it was just like ESTG did not want to be there to begin with.
At all.
And it's really frustrating because you see the questions, and I'll give a little criticism to, Bootleg Kev, right? There were some weird questions in there. Okay, fine. But I understand from doing this that you pull a little bit, and you're like, okay, that's dumb. I shouldn't have maybe asked that.
Right.
But it's just trying to get to know somebody. Maybe aliens
just get a low conversation.
But maybe aliens was the key, but it wasn't. But maybe it was. Maybe it was the key to unlock the door.
Right.
To go, oh, he loves this.
Right.
Let's talk about it for a second.
100%.
You know what I mean? It wasn't it. So he keeps lobbing up these really good questions.
At this point, really good questions. Like he's,
from the 12 to 20 minute mark, basically, he's lobbing up these questions that you're just like, dude, these
talking
are
about
great
talking
questions.
about his philanthropy. He asked the question of, what was that city that really rocked with you outside of Louisville? Didn't really get answered. Just really, he said, man, you are putting Louisville on the map. Didn't really get answered. It was, when you, even in a regular conversation, like forget interviewing. Mm-hmm. When you're just talking to people, it's like, man, I've been seeing you've been killing it, man. What's going on with you, man? Man, you look, you know what I'm saying? Like, we know that we do this with each other. It's like, man, you looking good, bro. Like, what have you been doing?
Right.
Hey, man, I heard you was over here killing it, man. What has that been like? That's just regular on the phone, in-person conversations.
Right.
So when it comes to an interview, you want to build that. You want to talk to somebody. You want to have that energy so that they can sit there, because there's so much of the background that only they can tell. The reason we have interviews, right, is because you don't want to hear from this guy and that guy, and we don't want the reporters.
Right.
We want the person that's actually doing it to talk about what they're actually doing. Mm-hmm. There's nothing like hearing the story from the actual person.
100%.
We don't read books, right? Just to read books. We want to hear what the author is telling, whether it's fictional or non-fictional. Mm-hmm. We want to hear from the author.
Right.
Period. And in this case, when it comes to musical artists, they are authors. They're performers. They're artists. We want to hear from the artists. You can go to a gallery and look at paintings. But when that actual artist, the person that painted, that made the art, walks in and goes, what I was thinking about was cookies on a Sunday with a dab of milk. And they tell you that, you're like, oh, man, thank you, bro. Because you might have been thinking about pizza with ranch. And it sounds stupid, but it's the facts.
Right.
You want to hear, this is why we love interviews. Period.
So, okay.
Keep going. Keep cooking.
No. So, I really just want to say, man, like, if you want to do and be on a podcast,
especially a podcast,
because
there's no real filters, bro.
You can say whatever you want, right? And you're the show. When you are being interviewed, you are the show.
No matter what the platform, you should be the show. And if you're not,
you are the center of attention.
Then if you are not the center of attention, then don't go.
Correct. Right? So
that's one part of it, but keep cooking.
So anyways, if you don't want to be a part of it, don't go. And I'll even say that for us as well. Right? I'm putting it out there. If you want to be on our podcast, come here and talk your shit. And don't come on here and sit here and just be like, yep. Yeah, it's good. It's all right. Yeah. I don't know about music, No, don't do that. Don't do that shit. That shit's, to me, that's just disrespectful. You want to come on here, talk your shit, man. Say what you need to say. And if you don't want to be on here, that's fine. You don't have to be, and this goes for any podcast. I'm not talking just about ours. Bootleg Kev, Joe Rogan, it don't matter. Anyone else in between. If you don't want to come on and talk about your album, if you don't want to talk about your business, if you don't want to, don't come on the podcast. Don't do it. You're wasting your time and you're wasting our time. It's just ridiculous. It gets frustrating to me, bro. Look we've had a really good, I'm going to say something though, to kind of come back around and make it a positive thing.
For sure.
We've had really good luck with our guests.
Man.
Seriously. Dude, because
shout out to everybody who's been on.
Listen, if somebody got 100%. Up and walked out of our interview, okay, if we were doing something really bad and weird and gotcha questions or whatever, and you were like, I don't want to be a part of that. You have every right to not want to be a part of that, right? But you have to know going in, research what this person does,
right?
Like that if they ask weird questions, or if it's just kind of straight up, whatever. If it's so, anyways, it's frustrating to me because you came on to talk about music. Yeah, you didn't want to talk about.
And you got to ask about music plenty of times. And so, yeah,
you started off with it. You in the middle of it, you were asked it, and 100%. Then you're like, and you're not answering any questions.
I want to say this: we're not super fans of ESTG, but we've definitely rocked with him because he's been on some dope stuff. He makes some solid music. That just wasn't the look. He was right and wrong in what he said. The problem is that yes, he got asked some nonsense. But he didn't attack the questions that were actually solid questions, man. Solid questions. They may have not hit it out the park, but they were solid interview questions where if you take that and you talk about it and you really give the people that, man, it's gold. And you never know, man, by telling somebody, how many times do we have conversations where we're talking about the lawn, and the next thing we know, we're talking about music. And the next thing you know, we're talking about movies. Mm-hmm. Like, that's real conversations, man. You just start saying, yeah, man, this is where that came from and da-da-da. And then next thing you know, and then what's so beautiful about that is it wraps right back around to where the conversation. So at the end of the day,
Right.
Mm-hmm. And what was a 20-minute podcast could have been an hour and a half, like legit. Even if you take out the 2 minutes of reaching and grasping for straws, it still could have been a fire podcast. And to your point, man, if you don't want to do it, don't do it, man. This thing is not. It's time. And it's time exhausted on both ends.
Right.
It's on both ends. Like, there's like on both sides of the coin, everybody's putting in time. Everybody's taking an hour, and then you got to add in travel time. You got to add in all the other things that the prep time, all that shit comes into play when you're talking about sitting down and doing an interview. Mm-hmm. So if you don't want to do it, don't fucking do it.
Right.
To your point, don't fucking do it. Right.
It's really
and
legit,
do your research
simple.
on who you're going to rock with, because there's a lot of bullshit out here. I'm saying it in general. Mm-hmm. Right. And there's a lot of dope shit out there. And do your research. You ain't got to do everything.
And you might want to be a part of something, right? Like somebody else's show, whatever. You're like, man, I really like the way they do things. I don't really like the way they do it here at the Gray Space. That's fine, man. Like, really, I have no hurt feelings with that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you're like, that's just not my vibe. There's nothing wrong with that. So the same thing with the Bootleg Kev show, right? Like, if that's not your vibe, man, don't show up. Yeah. Don't waste somebody's time. Don't get up. Don't make a spectacle out of walking up and getting out and just being like leaving and going. At least have the balls to say, bro, what are we doing here?
Right.
And shit ain't live. This shit could be cut out. You know what I mean? Like, bro, you know what, man? I don't like those questions.
Don't even post this, man.
Yeah, can you not? This is just not going the way I want it to go.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry I wasted your time. Sorry.
Right.
Whatever.
There
could have been so many different ways that could have worked out.
100%.
And so I needed to get that off my chest.
Hey, you was out here like, we gonna call you Suge Zeke. You out here saying you don't be all up in the videos. You know what I'm saying? My man was out here like the Source Awards. My man said, you don't want to be all up in the videos. Don't come to the Gray Space. You know what I'm saying? Golly. I said, oh, all right.
I don't know. We might not put this one out. You might watch this back because you can do all the editing and stuff. You go,
it's going out, man. The streets need
Yeah, you know,
Zeke.
man. Look it, man. Just
We got Zeke Zias, a.k.a. Suge Zeke, hanging motherfuckers off the balcony and shit. You know what I'm saying?
I'm
with you, though.
I just gotta say too, man. Like the amount, and I'm not gonna say stress. It's not stress, but the amount of work that we put in the sense of like, either if you do music, listen to somebody's music, right? If it's somebody's book, like getting to know what that book is about. If it's about a particular business or something like that, and going, okay, well, I don't know about it. We're going to talk about it, but let me like kind of dabble a little bit to see what's going on with that business, whatever it is, right? Like, I don't know everything. You don't know everything, but that's what the conversation's about.
And I will say this. When it comes to these clips, when you guys see these clips, don't jump off the deep end. Don't jump off the deep end. Go watch everything. Go read the article. Go watch the interview in its entirety, right? Because I felt a certain way before I watched the whole interview, and I felt a totally different way afterwards. Go get the whole process in its full context, because y'all know this, bro. Like, we live in a clickbait society.
Oh, for sure.
They're literally trying to get you to be like, fuck you or I love you. That's all they want you to do. They want you to be on either side, either agree or disagree. Go watch the whole thing. Go read the whole interview. Go get the whole article. Get the whole side of the story, all sides of the story, and then post whatever you want to post, but don't jump off the deep end, man. Because it's important, because we keep doing this shit. We keep reposting these fucking clips. We keep saying this shit. We get in the comment section, and I know 85% of the people that are out there that want to comment are just Twitter gangsters, computer thugs, right?
Yeah.
But for those that are not, for those that are really invested in the community, in the culture, just, man, take a couple of seconds. It ain't that hard. Y'all can get on Google. Y'all can get on YouTube. Y'all can get on ESPN. Get on with all these different apps. We got a million different apps. Pull them up. Go check it out. And then give your opinion. Because it is valued. It is valued. But go do the research.
That's all I got, man.
Computer thugs.
I feel better now. Got that
Man.
off my chest. You know what I'm saying?
Let me tell you something. This dude,
You guys stay safe. You guys stay positive.
that's outrageous. And as always, this is the gray space.
Yep. Peace.
Peace.